Thank you so much for that introduction. It's a real pleasure for me to be here. I discovered reading the literature that I was sent about Openlands that I'm the same age as Openlands. Sadly, yesterday somebody said to me, it's a really old organization. But leaving that to one side, I realized how lucky I am to have grown up in an age of conservation awareness. And I feel a lot of gratitude to groups like this one that understand it's not only the great national parks, which of course we desperately need, but it's 100 other areas close to home that are doorways to the natural world, and that, in fact, are the natural world. I'm also extremely pleased to be here speaking at an event where Wendy Paulson's being honored. And I felt all this before she said such a lovely thing about me. I met Wendy, as you heard, in New York City a couple of years ago when I visited her reading group, talk about my book. And it's a group devoted to environmental matters. And it was just the most wonderful gathering of incredibly passionate and intelligent readers who had a high-minded but also a very down-to-earth love of nature, and that's the mix for me. And after the discussion, which was really wonderful, the group went out to Riverside Park. We were on the Upper West Side of Manhattan to look at birds and to go look at these fledgling red-tailed hawks, which were nesting in a very precariously built nest over the West Side Highway. And so it was an urban encounter, but it was also a wild encounter. And that combination of books and birds, indoors and outdoors, urban and natural, is really, that's what I want to talk about, which is to say bird watching. So this picture that you see here is a photograph I love. It was taken by a wonderful bird photographer named Cal Vornberger, who has a great book, Birds of Central Park, and who sometimes takes pictures for Audubon. I wrote something for Audubon that this turned up in. That's how I met him. And I remember looking at this picture and thinking, I somehow wish I had written this photograph because I loved what it expressed. The bird is a great egret. The car is a New York City taxi. One of the things I love about the picture is that the bird, the egret, I don't know if you can tell because it's such a big image, but the egret is in perfect focus. The taxi is a blur, which is pretty much how a bird watcher sees the world. But at the same time, it really captures the double vision that is kind of also my theme, the way in which you really have to see nature inside of the urban, and you have to understand the role that the urban can play in the natural. The other thing I like about this photograph is a little more challenging for me, which is the fact that the car is going one way and the bird is going the other. And it really, for me, poses a kind of question. You know, is that our fate? Basically, will industry and technology always pull us in one direction, whereas the natural world, our need for it, our love of it, will that always draw us in the opposite direction? Or is there some way to balance these things? So I really want to talk about bird watching as a way of looking, literally, but also figuratively, at the natural world, because as I'm sure everyone here knows, how you see the natural world makes all the difference for how you set about trying to save it, or at least a small piece of it. And one of the things I love about bird watching is that it really is all about mediation and balance. You have the curious human animal at one end of the binoculars, and you have this wild animal at the far end. And in between, you have a piece of technology. You have binoculars, which paradoxically bring you closer to nature, not farther away, for which, for me, is an enormously hopeful element. Let's see if I can find the cursor. Whoops, there you go. So you heard Rich Carlson say that in my book I mention this possibility of magic glasses. And it's something I like. I actually devised that notion when I would take my daughter's friends or classmates or camp groups bird watching. My elder daughter's 10, my younger one is 7. And I love to take them to the park and line them up. And I say exactly what you heard. I say, what if I could give you a pair of magic glasses that would let you see something that is completely real, but that is completely invisible, and that is a world filled with strange creatures, and their eyes get really big. And then I say, well, you know, those glasses are around your neck, because we give them all little pairs of binoculars. And it's a kind of thrilling moment, because, of course, their association with magic glasses is 3D glasses. That's all the movies they see are 3D movies. And what I have to explain to them is that 3D glasses take something fake, like a movie, and they make it look more real. But binoculars take something real that is so beautiful and strange, it looks imaginary. And this is basically, as you heard, this is what happened to me. Some 15 years ago, somebody gave me magic glasses, and it was in the middle of the largest city in America.